Welcome back, everybody. It is the Serpent's Open Winter 2v2 tournament. It is the lower bracket final, and we have a rematch of a really great series that we casted in round 1. Alpha Hex is asking me why I'm getting their name wrong, but I don't understand why I'm getting it wrong. Anyway, it is the rematch of that great match, and I'm joined by Spiff once again. But this time the map is Fields of Ices. Spiff, please introduce our first team.
All right, we'll get started up here on the top right side. We're spawning in as the red UEF commander. We have Iron Commander representing Team Polar Commander. Or Polar Iron, rather.
You know, that sounds much better. That sounds
Polar
much
Commander,
better.
yeah, that should have been what they went for, really.
Absolutely.
But at any rate, his teammate down here spawning in as the orange UEF commander, we have Polar Bears, who has dropped down a couple of quick air factories. Meanwhile, by the way, Iron's gone for one research station, and I'm guessing we might see another station or two as he makes his way towards the middle. And Nite, what's going on the other side of the map?
On the other side of the map, we have, again, some very interesting shenanigans happening. First, it's part of Seton Hexnuts. That's their team name. That's what I've been calling them. I'm just calling them Hexnuts for short because you guys keep picking ridiculous names. Anyway, it is Alpha Hex, the brown Aeon commander, who is rushing up front and putting down, looks like, just one research station for now. Gonna get a radar up there and set up really early. And his teammate is the green Cybern commander. It is a cone.
Cybern Air, interesting choice.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, is that that's kind of unexpected, I want to say. And Polar knows this, so he's going to try and win air here. Unfortunately, looks like a cone is bringing his air back all the way. How does he know that? Did he catch it on the radar or something?
He must just be catching it on the edge of the plane's radar, yeah.
Oh my god, this is like some Pink Panther dodging right here.
Very well done by a cone. Manages to save all
Yeah.
of the games. I don't think he lost a single one.
He did not. What the heck? That was awesome.
I mean, he might have lost a scout earlier or something, but as far as that engagement goes, didn't lose
TML.
anything. Well, that's obnoxious.
And this is their pick. This is Hexnuts' pick. So they must have prepped this specifically for this map.
It does look
Very
pretty well
interesting.
planned out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the matchup, exactly the situation that you would go this. This is the maximum impact here because UEF obviously doesn't have bombers, and UEF is hard to get those sharpshooters. But then, of course, Iron did have that research station from early on, so he might get it if he was saving his research, which I fully expect him to do. I'm struggling with my words, guys. It's been a long day. I think I said research. I can't even repeat that.
Both commanders up here very aggressively positioned near the choke point for Team Hexnuts. Saw Cone Hexnuts, if you prefer.
Yes. That.
Still no anti-missile units out. Just some MMLs going to try to snipe that TML before it can do too much damage.
Point defense coming out from Iron Commander. He does not elect to go sharpshooters. He really, something I've noticed about Iron Commander is that he really doesn't like to counter things with unit research. For example, air, he never, playing Cyber, he doesn't go adapters that much. And now, the TML, he's not, he's choosing not to counter it with sharpshooters.
I don't know. I mean, we do see P shields. That's not a bad move against missiles, but it's also not a great one.
TML gets sniped by the MMLs.
And, I think maybe it's just the proximity of it. He figures it's close enough to his base that he can just snipe it and then not have to worry about it anymore. Which worked out well for him, I'll give him that.
Some very nice teamwork going on here. Cone reclaiming a little bit, waiting for that shield to fall, and Alpha Hex sniping that point defense. Oh, goodness. I tell you, there's some really good teamwork between Akone and Alpha Hex in the games that we've seen them play. It's ridiculously good.
Yeah, and I wonder if their little shtick with the MM tag is a little bit of psychological warfare against Polar.
Now, I don't think Polar has necessarily been making mistakes. I just think they've prepped really nice counters to UEF bullshit. And they're executing them well.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, look, okay, maybe now it's a little bit of a mistake not to be going bombers for Polar. But also, what are you going to do? Akone has air that can bomb, so, like, I don't know.
Honestly, I think the mistake is that Polar's, if there is a mistake, is that Polar's ACU is just now coming to the front to help.
Yeah, that's also part of it. Nice little engineer poke by Akone, gets spotted by Iron or Polar. They marked it out for each other. Probably Iron or Polar noticed that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of weird to see Polar Bear kind of struggling in matches, but I think that is largely due to the format of the tournament, because they have to pick the factions before they know what maps they're playing, and they have to keep them. So I have no idea who's ahead in this game right now, because the air is irrelevant for both teams, I want to say, largely. But yeah, obviously, I'm gonna call him Polar Commander because that just sounds way cooler. But Polar Commander has lost more, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the score, Alpha Hex is way up there right now. He has rebuilt that TML, so it's going to start picking stuff off again. And yeah, this is where that decision not to go sharpshooters might come back and bite them in the butt here.
Yeah.
Because now they don't have a base that's close by to that they can use to just pick the TML off.
So essentially, Iron chose shields, P shields over sharpshooters, and I'm not sure that's the correct choice, because on the sharpshooter path you have the demolishers, which could be quite useful. I don't know. I don't know if this was a Polar decision or an Iron decision or a cumulative decision, but I don't necessarily agree with going shields over demolishers and sharpshooters. Just way too much damage being dealt, and it's not just damage. It's again that variancy on those mass extractors. It's also lost my train of thought there completely.
Really has been a long day.
Yeah, I was gonna say secondly something, but it completely, like, I looked over at Polar Space and I'm like, just brain dead. I completely forgot where I was going there. But yeah, it's really interesting that Polar keeps spamming Wasps, but he doesn't want to take the engagement, because there isn't that much anti-air. There's been no anti-air units. There's been no crackdowns from Alpha Hex. There hasn't been even an anti-air tower from Akone. And it's just spam, spam, spam. Oh, research points. That's what I was going to say. It's research points for Alpha Hex, who's getting the kills on the mass extractors.
Yeah, and he's got to have a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's been killing them pretty much non-stop. Like, there hasn't been really an effective counter to the killing. It's just rebuilding, pretty much. Now demolishers are coming out, which, I mean, if you were going to go that way, why even... I don't know, maybe he's trying to do it in the long run. Maybe P-shields in the long run are more efficient. But then again, you're just losing so much research, which lets your opponent go teleport earlier, lets your opponent attack to, training earlier. So I'm not so sure that's a really great way to handle it. Do I hear artillery? Oh, that's demolisher fire. I forgot that demolishers make that little sound.
You know what would be kind of fun? I think might be technically a little too difficult to do in this, this kind of a tournament, but it might be kind of fun if we could listen in on the team's voice chat and see what they're talking about and what they're concerned about. in the game.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I was thinking maybe cameras, first-person perspective cameras, for each of the players that we could like do through Discord or something and show them on stream. That would be really fun as well. At least for the 1v1 tournaments. Oh, look at that Nanites for Alpha X. So he's going ACU, probably overcharge, which I think is the correct choice here, actually.
Overcharge versus all of those P shields, though, you're going to have to time things pretty carefully, and probably bombing run coordination is going to be important there too.
Right, but he also is spamming mobile missile launchers. So look at that. Those mobile missile launchers have taken out the P shields, and he just engages. And yeah, Iron's land force just evaporates.
Timing.
Gaming.
You know, yeah, you just have to have a really good sense of timing.
Well, it looked very straightforward, honestly. Every single game that Akon and Alpha X has played against Polar and Iron has been incredibly straightforward. At least to the observer.
Right.
And only now that Polar is engaging, and I think actually now he's going to lose somehow here. Oh, he loses air too. Wow. How did he lose? Oh, there's now anti-air in the back. Yeah.
Well, they're off to a rough start in this series, but they've still got a chance to bring it back if they can win 2 in a row here.
Absolutely. Weddell Island is still UEF favored no matter what they prepped for that, but it's going to be an uphill battle from here on out. We are going to go to Game 2 in this loser bracket final in just a moment.
Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 of our series here. This match on Weddell Isles, this game on Weddell Isles here. This is Spiff joining Nite of Misfortune to bring you this awesome series. And Nite, why don't you go ahead and remind everyone who our teams are?
All right, well, I'll introduce the Polar Iron, Iron Polar, Polar Commander, Iron Bear team, starting with Iron Commander, who is our red UEF commander, opening up with a double air factory in the back of Weddell Isles, and his teammate also opening up with air. It is Polar Bears, our orange UEF commander. And what are their opponents up to, Spiff?
All right, well, up here on Team Hexnuts, starting out with the brown Aeon commander, it is Alpha Hex, putting down a dual research station. So looking to get those torpedoes super fast on his tanks with this factory follow-up. And his teammate spawning in as the blue Cybern commander, we have Akon, who's gone for quick double air. So this is looking kind of like a repeat of exactly what we saw between these two teams on this map at the very beginning of the tournament. Very similar builds. I think the only real difference is that did Alpha Hex go 2 research the first time or just 1?
No, there's actually a pretty big difference. Alpha Hex went 1 research in that game, and Polar Bear went Navy, I believe. That's what happened.
That's true. Polar did switch into Navy, and this time he is going for an air follow-up to his air opener.
I think in that game he went straight Navy though, and then he went into
Did he?
air. From what I remember, it's been a long day, but from what I remember, I think he opened up with Navy in that game.
He might have done. I don't recall offhand. I just remember his 2 first factories were in Navy and then air, right?
Yes,
in some order.
I believe that's
in
correct,
some order.
Yeah. And then subs came out pretty quickly, I think. But yeah, I mean, this reminds me more of actually the Rainbows and Rainboom versus Lotus that we watched on this map.
Very similar strategy to that one as well, yeah. Very similar openers.
And it looks like Iron actually is rushing bombers here very, very quickly. And you saw a scout really, really quick from Akon as well to see what Polar is doing. And I think that's an important element to the strategy working. So I think that's definitely a good thing. And yeah, so the reason why it's so similar is that now we're going to see a bunch of Kragdows. And I think Alpha Hex and Akon were watching that game. And I think they might realize how strong it is. But I'm not sure if Polar and Iron watched that game, because I think they might have been playing at that time.
Well, Yeah, we'll see how it all works out. Alpha really doesn't have a whole lot of production yet, and he's put a good bit of mass into this anti-air tower.
Yeah, they are definitely doing much better than Lotus has done. They're actually utilizing the air to do some damage here early on, preventing these expansions that Engineer is not going to be able to get away, not even finishing that mass extractor there. And there's no anti-air on that side, so there's a little bit of free reign for our Iron Commander, Polar Commander, I don't know. I'm getting confused. The OP team.
The OG team.
The OG team. Yeah, indeed.
Or I'm from the Midwest, it could be the OP team.
I mean, I think it's the OP team for sure, because, I mean, when you think about it, Iron Commander and Polar Bear is just like the two strongest players ever. It's kind of crazy.
They've certainly both had their respective periods of dominance.
Absolutely. I don't know, like back then, like right now I think Iron Commander is a little better than Polar Bear, but back then I don't think I've ever seen Polar and Iron in the same tournament. So that's why I can't really say that back then.
Yeah, I kind of
Polar
feel like
yeah.
I kind of feel like Iron stopped being active in tournaments before Polar really started his rise to glory.
Right. And I don't want to take anything back from Polar. I mean, winning a tournament on a consistent basis is great regardless of what like the makeup of the tournament is, but there wasn't real competition for MM back then. So in those middle years. But
Yeah, well, MM pretty much scooped up anyone who was a cut above.
right. Yeah. That's what the problem was. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. We do continue to see harassment from Iron Polar Iron, PI, IP, TM, CC,
INC.
YMCA. YMCA. The fuck is happening? Oh man. Someone needs to clip that. Alright, well there is an air engagement here, and I do like this position for a cone a little with that anti.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Polar and Iron are kind of licking their wounds on the retreat here.
Yeah, not even getting a mass extractor and losing 3 planes.
And like these Cybern planes are really bunched up. It's hard to tell how many there are, and I think it's more than it looks like. It's definitely more than it looks like. They are really stacked on top of one another.
Yeah, I think it's for Polar. I was trying to count how many fighters he had, but I think he has close to 20 to 25 right now. So it'll be really interesting to see what Polar chooses, or sorry, what Iron chooses to progress into with these bombers. Is it going to get Scorch bombs, torpedo bombs, or are they both going to go into gunships, or is there going to be Navy? There's a lot of options, I think, here, but I don't think Navy is the correct choice.
No, and I don't think we're necessarily going to be seeing AC-1Ks anytime real soon either, because both players are doubling down with more air factories.
We might see gunships from Polar, but not ACs.
Right.
I think gunships would actually be okay. But then again, you got to make sure you're staying competitive with the air as well.
Honestly, in this situation, I think that gunships would be better than bombers. And I think like if one of the two were making, or maybe if both of them were just making like half fighters, half gunships, I think that would now again, you know, I'm a little out of the meta. I haven't tried this, but that is kind of my first idea of what might beat this, you know, Aeon land blob of AA, and then
I'm liking gunship idea less and less because I've seen some crazy micro of of anti-air on land. And, you know, even without teleport, they can kite those gunships for quite some time. And then also when you throw in teleport into the mix, it just becomes even more ridiculous. So I don't know. I think if anything has a higher chance, I think it's definitely ACs if you're going gunships. But gunships is a very hard transition, I would say, right now at the moment. A lot of research going down for iron.
Honestly, I'm not sure that because we saw AC1Ks earlier, and they didn't really work out in this situation.
That was a very interesting animation of a bombing run. Alright, well that air is going to be uncontested, but the problem is now there is some units in the base of Polar Bear, or sorry, Iron Commander. No, and
including an engineer, which is
Yeah.
putting down some point defense. That's just rude.
I don't know. I don't know if he needs a point defense there, though. Oh well, now he does because he teleports away. But yeah, I don't know what they were thinking there. Did they not have coverage of land? No, they did. So I'm not sure what the miscalculation there was. They thought they had more time there. I don't know. It's a lot of bombers though. I think it's going to handle it, especially if there are scorch bombs. But Alpha X is already pre-splitting his units. That's very nice. Oh my god. Yeah. You know, Alpha has just these days where he just looks unstoppable, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah, he's getting quite a bit done here with very little investment in actual like amount of units.
Iron Commander is not maximizing the impact of his bombers though. He's bombing a PD. That's definitely not what you want to be worried about right now. And he's not splitting fire on different units within a blob. There's a little bit of a miss micro there from Alpha. He didn't split enough, but honestly, I think he did more damage than he needed to.
I think he might have had his. I think Iron might have had his bombers. On a attack move, and like especially as the blob got less and less, in amount. I think he just put them on attack moves, so they were all just picking their own targets.
Air engagement is going to be won by Polar and Iron here, though. That's a nice little bit of a win there. And they still have a crap ton of bombers. So assuming Iron Commander can start reclaiming to rebuild these mass extractors, I think they're actually in a really good spot right now. They just need to capitalize on the air and start bombing something, anything. Probably do one bombing run on this blob and just keep going into the base. That's actually a really good idea, I think. No.
They're turning around instead.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Now he's going forward. Oh, he just wants to do... Okay. Nice bit of micro there. I like that air micro. Really nicely done. Oh my god, there's so much happening right now. This is a good game. Oh my god, look at that split from Alpha X. Everybody who is going anti-air on ground should look at this distribution, and they should use that. The amount of times I've seen Harvogs or Crackdows like split into like these 4 blobs when you have like literally like 30 seconds just sitting there is a lot of times. So split your units, friends, if you're going hard countering air with land. Every single one of those units was split.
Yeah, beautifully done.
Yeah, both of these teams are doing a really good job. Trying to just squeeze out every little bit of an advantage they can. I think Polar is wasting a little bit of too many of his wasps. I think they're more important right now than those bombers. You definitely don't want to lose your air there. Okay, pulls back those reinforcing wasps. There's going to be an engagement here over bada booms and anti-air. Bombing run coming in. Alpha X doing, again, a really good job splitting those units, but not enough this time. Quite a bit of units do fall, and a huge air engagement ensues.
Yeah, real good effort from a Cone fighting over, and Alpha Hex, spreading out their units, fighting over AA. But just there's too much from the other team. Wow.
Yeah, I think there's just too much air now. And whatever does make it to the bases of Polar and Iron can be dealt with commanders, I think. Alright, so what are they going to do now? Are they just going to go and win the game? Or are they going to transition into something that will definitely end the game for them? I don't think they can quite end the game right now because, yeah, so both commanders are making their way to the water here. God, these splits are ridiculous. Look at that! Units are like barely falling. Oh, he has quite a bit of tech or training on those units.
Well, if Alpha Hex can't hold this position, he's at least making for a lot of losses.
Yeah, really good job here by Alpha Hex, utilizing this spread, not only for the sake of spreading, but also sending the units that can do damage to structures in the meantime to do damage. Really, really well played. It's the little things like that that I don't often get a chance to point out, but they're such a critical point of this matchup, of high-level play, rather. And look at that. The majority of the blob, it seems, is just making its way down. And there's gunships now, so that will be more useful. But now there's no wasps. Polar transitioned, I think, too early into bombers. Oh, man.
I think he is still making some wasps. I think he's like maybe gone half and half.
But a Cone is just making, you know, anti-air nonstop, so... coupled with bada booms, which actually, no. Alpha Hex actually doesn't have any bada booms left in that composition. And there aren't any reinforcing, I don't think.
I don't see any.
Yeah, I think he miscued a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a miscue there from Alpha Hex, but still really good chances for a Cone, I feel like, here. Defensive teleports, and that's why I say, like, these gunships are not as great, although they do draw a lot of fire from a Cone's air. But look at that. Polar's wasps are just melting away. And yeah, look at that. Air just flips. Polar's transition was way too quick. And it looks like Iron was transitioning into gunships as well, because he was about to plop down a land gantry. That's just way too sudden of a transition. What did you figure? Like, Alpha or a Cone is just going to stop producing air, or what?
I don't know. Maybe that is what they were assuming.
I feel like you just can't assume that. There is a land gantry making its way out for Alpha Hex.
I wonder what we'll see out of that.
Wasps are being remade, but now the problem is, what the heck are you going to do with these mobile missile launchers? Now, what is that, Iron? Oh no. It's falling apart for our Danish commander here, and Polar, I think, just made a mistake there, making way too many bombers that were not necessarily needed. Yeah, and just keep teleporting away from those gunships. Engage with the Cone's air. Really, really strong. Iron Commander just eats a shitload of mobile missile launcher fire there.
Yeah, his commander is quite low in health at the moment. He's almost down to the red.
Oh my god. I don't think I've ever seen gunships get less done than I have just seen them do. That is insane.
Especially considering how many of them there are there.
Yeah. And with shields. And with shields. Yeah, Alpha Hex and Cone prepped the shit out of this matchup. Yeah, nothing but gunships making their way out, and yeah, I mean, this is...
And I'm sure that there are some people out there watching this right now that are just going, Cybran Air winning against UEF Air? What the fuck is going on?
Double UEF Air.
Yeah.
It comes down, I'm telling you guys, it comes down to the little things. It looks like, okay, this game wasn't that straightforward as the last one, but it looks like it was, but it isn't. Because there's like so many little things. A bada boom there, a teleport there, a split there, a peel there, a movement of an MML there so that it can take out a radar or a mass extractor. It is not that simple, especially against Iron Commander and Polar Bear. Holy crap! I thought this was their game, and it just completely tipped there in the center. Just really good splitting from Alpha X. Ridiculous.
Man, I was so wrapped up in that game, I forgot who won the first game. What's the score?
2-0.
2-0, goddamn.
Hexnuts moves to the match for third place. They are guaranteed top 4. They're going to meet with the team Rainboom, who defeated them in the first place, sending them to the lower bracket. So we're going to go to that in just a moment. There shouldn't be a huge wait this time. I know I've said that every time, but this time I really hope it's not. So we'll see you very, very soon. But GG's to Polar and Iron. That was really incredible play by Akon and Alpha X. We'll be right back. If you're still watching, give a thumbs up to this video. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you are blown away by it, check out my Patreon page. This has been Nite. Take care and peace out.